My name's Thomas DeLauer, and my background actually was in, believe it or not, the healthcare world. My background, even though it's not what you would see today on the internet, it's not what you would see when you watch my videos, but my background was a physician recruiter and actually had an ancillary lab services company. So a lot of what we did was provide lab services to fee-for-service doctors that were providing services on a concierge basis to patients that were paying cash and not working with the insurance system. So that's how I got my start in the world of healthcare and alternative medicine, alternative really diet, if that's what you want to call it. You know, really set a goal for myself of saying, okay, once this starts, once you start losing weight, you feel so good. You start, really not wanting to change that at all. You've got so much momentum, especially with a ketogenic diet. It's like one foot in front of the other. You're just losing weight. You're feeling amazing. You're gaining this cognitive function that you didn't have before. Suddenly different things become illuminated in your life. Like, wait, I can accomplish this. Wait, maybe I want to go after this too. It'd be kind of cool to shoot a magazine cover. Let me just aim for that too.
Wow.
And everything just becomes so clear, so crystal. And I really attribute that to just having that cognitive function that comes with keto, because you're so foggy when you're not in ketosis and you don't even realize it. So being able to not only lose a ton of weight, but have the clear focus and the discipline to really go after some of the things that I've wanted to do since I was 12 years old. I was still weight training a lot, and I think I just led myself to believe that I was just kind of on this endless bulk, where it's like, oh, it's fine, I'm working out. No, it's just muscle. And then, it was one day look in the mirror and say, this isn't muscle. Who am I joking? And it's, so it was at that point, looking in the mirror saying, okay, if I want to be able to perform at my best in business, in life, but also with my own athletics and my own fitness, something needs to change. And when I first started losing a little bit of weight and understanding that, wow, I feel so much better. And I realized it wasn't because I was just getting healthier, but it's because I was harnessing the discipline of a diet that directly translated into the discipline of business and the discipline of everything else in my life. So it was really understanding that if I can just be clear on what I'm doing with my diet, I can start being clear on every other aspect of my life. And it was just sort of a positive spiral from there on out. I look at it with 4 pillars of life that you really should be focusing on if you want ultimate success. And you're gonna have your health and fitness, you're gonna have your family, you're gonna have your spirituality/religion, and then of course you're gonna have your business, because that is a part of your success and it is part of what defines you. And we can't joke and say that it's not, because money drives so much of this world, and if you don't hold yourself to a certain standard, you're not gonna feel good about yourself. But it's when one of those pillars becomes too strong or too weak, the whole foundation crumbles. So I'm not saying that health and fitness was the end-all be-all for me. It was just a piece that had sort of crumbled a little bit while other things were starting to raise up. So when I say find balance at a higher level, it was all about, well, how can I take my health and fitness, build it back up so that it's stable with everything else in my life? But little did I know that understanding ketosis didn't just rebuild my health pillar. It actually heightened all the pillars just because of the cognitive awareness and everything that you're able to develop through it. It's simple, you have a lot more clarity. And it's just because normally when you go on a diet, you have so many variables coming at you. The thing I liked the most about the ketogenic diet was it freed up so much of my headspace to think about other things in life, because it really is so simple. It's, you're eliminating a major variable, being sugar and carbohydrates. And just doing that, it doesn't occupy a lot of headspace. Normally when you're dieting, you're thinking about, how do I eat these 6 meals? Or I have to eat every 2 hours. Or,
right.
Oh, I need to have this portion of this and this and this. I mean, ketosis was so simple. It made it so that I had the mind share, I had the space to be able to think about my family, to think about business. So despite all of the other physiological and cognitive benefits that happen with ketosis, I would say the simplest was just the fact that it opened up my lifestyle to something that was really achievable. 3 variables that are always moving around with our diets. And if you talk to any diet coach out there, or any person that's on the internet, they're all gonna tell you it's a perfectly balanced ratio of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Now, you and I both know there's a lot that goes into that, and it's more than just those 3 things. But when we're looking at ketosis, carbohydrates are essentially eliminated. So when we look at the big picture of it, we're really dealing with 2 variables, not 3 anymore. And what I mean by variables is if we're trying to juggle how many grams of protein we need to have, how many grams of fat we need to have, combined with how many grams of carbs we need to have at a specific point in time, pre-workout windows, post-workout windows, don't eat carbs before bed, don't eat this with breakfast. That's mind-boggling. What if we were just able to say, if you just had proteins and fats and that was it, and you could eat those at any point in time throughout the course of the day, I mean, look how much easier that is. I mean, I'm not super good at math, but I could tell you that if we have 3 different macronutrients, there's a lot more different combinations of macronutrient ratios that we could have than if we were just eating proteins and fats, right? To it, it was really a matter of just putting my mind to it, and again, eliminating that one variable. It's a straight shot. It's a step over step with each time that you are really thriving in ketosis, each day that you're feeling good and you're having that mental burst, you feel better and better each day. So it's not like it's hard to lose momentum. It's building, and as long as you're moving in the right direction, there's nothing that's gonna set you back. The nice thing with ketosis, again, I mean, the weight loss can be accelerated so much because once you get your body truly burning body fat versus just, burning just a little bit of fatty acids now and then, it just steamrolls and the weight just comes off because that's the fuel source for your body. And again, you're getting your body utilizing fats and proteins. And if you have a predominant source of fat on your body, that's going to become the fuel source. Actually, a good point, because one thing that I deal with on the internet a lot is a lot of people saying that ketosis is not good for the athlete. And people will say that day in and day out, and it's okay because most of the time, what we're understanding, what we're hearing out there is that we need carbohydrates for fuel, and it's been kind of ingrained in our system. It's ingrained in our brain that carbohydrates are what do it. But the fact is that there are so many different things that happen in your body when you're in ketosis. The simplest way that I can explain it, Naomi, is when you have carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram. Fats contain 9. Well, if you really think about it, if you've switched your body over from utilizing something that has 4 calories per gram over to something that has 9 calories per gram, that's a lot more energy density. So you're dealing with something that has much more energy per gram. So therefore, once your body is truly utilizing those fats, it's very, very energizing. You have a lot of energy for working out. You have a lot of fuel. And I think that people that feel that ketosis doesn't give you that athletic burst, they're usually people that haven't gone deep into ketosis and truly understand the benefits of burning fat as a source of fuel. Is they seem to think that it's all about eating meat and cheese. And that's just the thing, is the true ketogenic diet should be more like a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio of fats to protein. That's not a ton of protein. You don't need to be eating copious amounts of protein. All that's gonna do is mess up your kidneys, and you don't need to be consuming that much. So it's really a matter of getting more of the fats in, which you can get through perfectly healthy plant sources: avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, olive oil, coconut oil, palm oil, all these things that are great and awesome and plant-based. And then you can have small amounts of protein. You don't need to be eating the greasy burgers all the time. You don't need to go and get 2 ribeye steaks. Sure, you can do that from time to time with ketosis. That's kind of the benefit, but you don't need to be loading up with cheese and doing that. That's the wrong way to do ketosis. That's more like a modified Atkins diet, which has sort of taken the world by storm as a form of ketosis, but it's more of a modified Atkins, which is quite a bit different. Is that ketosis and fasting are almost the same thing. Fasting, obviously the big difference being that you're fasting, you're not eating, but the mechanism of action within the body is actually very similar. I don't know if you knew this, but the ketogenic diet was discovered as a way to emulate or mimic fasting. If we go back to the 1920s, we saw that doctors were struggling trying to find what this amazing thing that was happening in the body was when people would fast. We're finding lower instances of epilepsy. We were having neurodegenerative diseases that were correcting themselves through fasting. And these doctors were saying, well, okay, this is amazing, but what's going on in the body? Well, ultimately they find out that the common denominator is ketones are produced. And we produce ketones when we're obviously in ketosis, but we also produce ketones when we're fasting in an even more accelerated rate. So fasting, for so many different reasons, is such a huge, huge, huge tool for just about anyone to use as a way to get healthy. Not just lose weight, but to get healthy. And you use it as a value add. You use it not necessarily as a way of life, but as something that you insert into the process of whatever diet you're doing, whether it's ketogenic or not, to use as a tool to be able to help your body accelerate whatever good process you're trying to get. I take the word intermittent fasting to a different level. When people say intermittent fasting, they think that means intermittent periods throughout the day that you're fasting. I look at that totally different. I look at intermittent fasting as fasting intermittently throughout the week or throughout the month. Fasting should be used intermittently. So me, for example, I'll fast 2 times per week, usually about a 24-hour fast because I'm a believer in a longer term fast. And then once a month or once every couple of months, I'll extend it to about a 30 to a 36-hour fast where I just will try to extend it as long as I can. I don't push it really, really long just because I don't have much of a need to or desire to right now. One thing that I've been interested in doing after diving into so much more research is to do more of a 48 to possibly even a 72-hour fast just to experience it a little bit more. But I use fasting a couple days per week just as a tool to enhance the effects of the ketogenic diet that I'm already on. Really, the best way to fast is just consuming water. I mean, that's a true fast. And some will even say that that's breaking a fast because it still elicits a metabolic response within the body. But I'm a believer that keep the water in the picture. If someone's just starting out, and like when I was just starting out with fasting, black coffee and green tea were okay. They technically can break a fast from a metabolic standpoint, but as far as body composition goes, and at least thermodynamics and helping the body utilize fats for a source of fuel, they don't generally disrupt that process. But when you're talking about like the autophagy processes in the body and everything like that, trying to get the cells to actually regenerate and heal, you're really going to want to stick to just water. But it's so much easier than you think, especially once those ketones kick in, once you're past the first 12, 14 hours of a fast, that's when the magic starts to happen. It's so easy. It's almost like you don't want to eat after that.
So